Hey, how's it going, everyone? Thank you for joining me today. Oh my gosh. Now, I know that I said, and please in the comments, tell me where you are watching from. Um, because today it's what I don't even know how to talk, right? Um, I was going to talk about, and I'm just going to move this to tomorrow. Um, what I was going to talk about is how you can gain wealth through entrepreneurship, right? And which is great, but what I'm going to instead is talk about is how you can have strength, how to have strength for your mission. Now, I talked about this briefly in terms of like maybe a couple of weeks ago because it was something that I had actually heard um, at church, and I just thought it was so amazing. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is, let me say this, is that when you are doing anything and everything, right, there's an intention behind it, there's a reason behind it, there's a why behind it, and then as a result of that, there is the result, right? And when each of us are doing something with intention and with purpose, we understand that we now have a commitment to continue and persevere in spite of all difficulty. And that does not mean that the journey is going to be easy. That does not mean that the people that you are looking to help wants to receive your help, right? But what it does mean is that by default, you have an obligation to at least inquire so that you can aspire someone to shift and change so that they can become a better versions of themselves. Yes. And what that entails is having strength for the mission. As an aspiring entrepreneur, there's a reason why you decided to go into a particular space. That it may be because of something that you have been passionate about. It may be something that you have inherited. It may even be something that you've experienced that you either one want other people to experience it, or two, you don't want them to ever experience what you've done. So you're taking on the mantle to be a change agent, to be a person who is the voice so that other people don't have to endure what you have had to endure. And because of that, right, you now have a mission. Now, the mission itself, no one has ever said that it is going to be easy. No one has ever said that it was going to be fun or entertaining. But we know that when there is a mission that we are pursuing, that it is our responsibility to stand up and show up and speak up, regardless of how that situation looks. So here are a couple of things that you can use. I'm going to give you some ammunition as you're moving towards the mission, as you're moving towards your purpose, as you're moving towards your destiny, so that you can remain steadfast and not choke on the illusion that's in front of you. And I say illusion because oftentimes when we see a problem space, right, as entrepreneurs, our job is to see the gap. When people talk about what's the gap is the problem. What's the gap? Regardless of how difficult it looks, what's the gap? And because you are in your space, because you know that you can make a difference, you are obligated because you've taken on the mantle. You have taken on this mission. You are obligated to do something. It is easier to sit. It is easier for other people to convince you not to move. It is easier for us to give ourselves excuses on why we don't speak up, on why we don't reach out. That is easy. It is difficult to move and to take action, especially when you know that it's in your swim lane, it's in your mission. And before I give you the 3 steps, the 3 key points, the 3 key ways on how to arm yourself to remain vigilant in your purpose, to be a change agent and help other people. What I want to say first and foremost is that um, when we're on the cusp of doing something great, it's going to reveal itself to us as a small problem or something we don't even want to do at all. But if you go back to why you are in the position and in the space that you're in, why are you doing this thing? Why are you in this industry here? What made you decide to do it? You will now have the energy to act. So I'm going to give you 3 key things that you can use and use. Okay. Um, and I think these are important because these are strategies that's going to keep you focused and encouraged. Okay. So I really call this searching for significance because, in a way, that's exactly what you're doing, truthfully. You have a mission, but you're really trying to figure out how significant and what role you play in it. The first way on how to have strength for your mission is to be focused on what it is, regardless of the optics and opinions. I'm going to say that again. Be focused regardless of the optics and opinions. This is why sometimes when we move, we don't need to let everybody know. That does not mean that the opinion that they give us is not valid, but we only hear the downside of it. It is equally important for us to hear the upside of it as well. One thing I know for sure is that when you don't ask, when you do not move, it is 100% guarantee that nothing will change. And because you're not moving, when you see a problem, when you see the gap to help someone out, what ends up happening is that that person ends up staying in that space longer than required. So you're like, well, Uche, if I do this, they're not going to, get my help anyway. That's okay, because your job was to plant that seed. Because here's what's happened. Once that seed has been planted, they're going to start seeing it everywhere. Now they're going to be very conscious of what is happening. Be focused regardless of the optics and opinions. Because you came to your mission to impact and not impress. You took on your mission to impact and not impress. Always remind me of Lord of the Rings. Love Lord of the Rings. And Frodo was not coming to impress anybody, but to impact, because he took on the mission. He understood what was at stake. Do you? Do you understand what's at stake if you don't move on your mission? Do you know what it is? Okay, the second point is, got to get my notes because it's so good. The second point is we have to keep our expectations centered on why we're doing our mission and not on people. Because we know that people are human. We understand that people can falter at any moment, they can change. It's based on moods. But we have to keep our expectations centered on the mission and why, and not on people. That it has to be done. And because of that, you have to be honest, because you're not, now that you are keeping yourself centered on the expectations and not what other people think. You now have to be honest with yourself on, why the heck am I doing this? Because it's going to be a time where the rubber's going to meet the road and you're going to be frustrated, like, do I need to do this? Can I do this? So you got to be honest with yourself. Why am I here? Why has this mission been given to me? Why did I take it? And the quicker you can be honest with yourself, allows you to remove yourself out of the space of self-doubt and move into the space of being fearless. Because what I often see is a lot of us like to stay being victims. There's no need anymore to be a voluntary victim. It is time for you to become a victor. Okay? It is time for that. The third key in terms of what you're going to need for the strength of your mission is that you're not done until. That's with conviction right there. You're not done until. Are you in it for the race? Are you in it to win it? As you're searching for significance. There are two important days in your life: the day you were born and the day you realize why. And I say this all the time. We know why, in my humble opinion, but because we have been polluted with information that serves no value to us, it gets boggled down by other unnecessary information. You have to keep reminding yourself why. With everything else, having a support group, all of that. But you got to keep reminding yourself, why am I doing this? And the reason why I wanted to say this today is simply because it's not easy to make movement, to make progress that's going to impact and change people's lives. Everybody can't do it. Everybody don't have that mission to do it. But when you're gifted and talented, it's your obligation. So I'm going to challenge you, for those of you who are listening, you have a mission on your life. Stay focused. remove the noise, and act. Act does not mean to convince. It simply means to share information. Act does not mean to convince. It simply means to share information. The information that you shared with the people who can use it now have the responsibility on what they do with it. But your mission is to give them the information so they can decide how to act. They will never know how to move if they never got the information. Yes, yes. I know this is not what I was going to talk about today, but it was just on my heart and I needed to say this out loud because a lot of us are sitting in the back looking and we have the answer to fill the gap of a major problem, but we're choosing not to take the mantle on. And I get it. I get it. It ain't easy. Listen, coming on here every day for 2 weeks straight, talking about why people need to go into entrepreneurship, informing people on how they need to have a new stream of income, on how they need to just be financially independent. It's not easy. But here's what I do know. The reason why this became a forefront for me was 2 reasons. I'm just going to give you one. The first reason was because when my mom retired at the age of 55 to go and take care of my sister. And when my mom reached, I think maybe 65, she got a letter saying that she didn't have enough credits to even get Social Security and that she needed to work more hours. She got to put in more points into the system. And that was like an eye opener for me that you can work all your life and still not put enough points in the system. But not even that. You work all your life and you still got to go back to work. That was a transformative moment for me. When I said to myself, I would never want to be dependent on a system that has me dependent on working for someone else to put points in the system. It didn't make any sense. So is it easy to come over here and provide information so that people can understand how important it is for them to take ownership of their finances, for people to understand that they have all the gifts and abilities where they can create their own income so that they understand that they can get freedom of time, freedom of thought, freedom of space, really breaking just free, being a divergent, if we want to, of where you're no longer in like a hypnosis, that you're now thinking differently. It's not easy, but I decided to take on the mission. This is why the name of my network is Women Who Leap. Because you do have to leap. Right? Taking a leap is not where you're just jumping. A leap is a long stretch from one structure to another. And you're just hoping that you're going to you're going to fall flat. But sometimes you don't. But the point is that you've taken that leap, that step. So yeah, you got to have strength for your mission. The question is, are you willing to take it? Are you comfortable enough where you're no longer a victim, but you're a victor, that you now could be a change agent to help someone else? Because you're searching for significance. I am here today to give you permission to leap, to give you permission to bet on yourself, to give you permission to fill in the gap, to give you permission to use everything, your God given gifts and abilities, to not only make your life better, but to make someone else's. I give you permission. So you no longer have to ask for it. You no longer have to get opinions. You no longer have to ask advice. In your gut, you know what you need to do. And I give you permission to surrender and to simply act. Yes, yes. All right. So, everyone, thank you for showing up. Thank you for coming out. Please like and share. And of course, sign up for my masterclass that I have coming up, where we're going to go and talk about more of these things, more about what I've been coming live on how you can create the wealth you want to live the life and the freedom you desire by simply using your knowledge that you have gained and obtained and the skills and talents that have been naturally given to you. Have a great Monday, and we're going to start out this week real right. Okay? Okay. All right. Have a good one.